The most
that we ever
important
have.
in the Christian calendar.
The most important, of course, week on the Christian calendar started yesterday actually, with Palm Sunday, and it will
Mm-hmm.
continue all the way up to Easter Sunday. So I know a lot of. I saw a picture of somebody put some picture. I think of people traveling to Tobago yesterday. It was packed. The airport was packed, and I would imagine it will be packed for the rest of this week
Yeah.
as
What's the
people
difference
go out
between
to
Friday? But
various.
I was going down to transport ministry on Friday. Good morning, everyone. To collect my certified copy, and it was 8 a.m. And I said, "But where the cars going north?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
Usually by 7, 8 a.m., 6 a.m., there'd be bumper traffic from San
right.
Fernando heading north. There was hardly any traffic.
There was
And
no traffic on Friday.
Friday and in Port of Spain, there was no traffic. And so I guess it was a long weekend, and many have extended it into this week. We'll see how it goes. I think
Yeah,
there's a couple people working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then straight into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
Monday holiday.
yeah, yeah.
Additionally, school is closed for Easter.
Yes, yes. Last
That's
night, I don't know though. Last night I had a lot of traffic on the road last evening.
Oh, really?
Certainly up the east-west corridor, there was heavy traffic on the. I think people might have been coming from somewhere. I don't know.
I
You know,
think the system agrees with this is the best your microphone ever sounded, Wendell.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on good as one.
And your picture is crystal clear with your video camera surveillance in the background.
Yeah, I need to
I
move.
hope none of your special
I
tapes
was trying
don't,
to blur my background
your
though.
special tape doesn't show up on that for some reason this morning. Good morning, Jaron. Oh, by the way, we're streaming in Power 2 on YouTube. So if you buy a computer,
Also,
and
we
you have a
live on
PC,
YouTube or
we're
no?
also live on YouTube.
Okay.
By tomorrow, we'll be live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok.
Ah, this means that means I don't get close.
I think you have enough clothing. Anyway, it is Monday, the 3rd of April. New month started also. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, it's a new month. You're right. And
hmm
yesterday was Shane Lehair's birthday. It would also have been Dr. Job's birthday yesterday,
Yeah, I remember that.
April 2nd. And today is David Ware's birthday and Laura Cabrera. David Wares and Laura Cabrera, they both are ardent fans of the Power Breakfast Show. So they'll be listening. Yesterday was also Marilyn Gordon's birthday and Councillor Jamil Biznat's birthday. They all celebrated birthdays yesterday also. All right? And Nyron Bain, how could I forget Nyron Bain? The very miserable Nyron Bain. He also celebrated his birthday yesterday. All right, so belated birthday greetings to you, and of course to David Wares and Laura Cabrera. Happy birthday today, April 3rd.
So, what happened on this weekend? Sad news.
Yeah.
People lost their lives in a fire in Sipario.
Yeah, man.
So
Oh,
condolences to that family. It's really,
you
really
know, I
tragic.
didn't read a
Yeah,
physical newspaper or an online newspaper for the entire weekend.
yeah.
My weekend started off so good and ended so.
A mother and her 8-year-old daughter, Kemba Morris, and 8-year-old Zaya died in a fire on Sunday, sad, tragically. So,
Where was that?
in Sipario,
Oh,
condolences to that family. I mean, a fire is a horrible thing to go through, but I mean,
Yeah.
to get trapped and lost in a fire, and it's amazing. I remember many years ago, our right next door neighbor, they had an electrical fire in the house, and the mother she was in her 70s, Mrs. Lawrence. She passed now, and I remember the house flying over to see if anyone was in the house, and she was in the house, and we had to keep pulling her away from here because she kept wanting to run back into the house to get stuff. And I said, could people get into a state of confusion? 'Cause, I mean, you're seeing all your hard work, years of sacrifice going up in flames. And she literally kept wanting to go back into the house. And you had to
oh,
keep holding her. And she
yeah,
said, but my things. I said, but your life.
yeah,
But people not
yeah.
processing that at that point.
Yes,
They
yes,
see they
yes.
could go in and get stuff, and
Yeah,
and I could imagine it's 1,000 times worse when people are trapped in the household,
yeah.
and people outside know that people are trapped in the household. Remember that fire in Maraval some years ago,
Yeah.
where the hero broke the wall and broke down some uh,
Yeah,
They
but
got different and got
RBC.
into the house, thank God, to save the
Yeah.
children. And fire is a horrible, horrible thing to happen to any family. So condolences to the family.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Hmm.
Because the heat and the smoke, sometimes you
Yeah.
don't, the fire don't even have to touch you, you know.
Smoke inhalation is what
Just the
most people
smoke
die
and the
from.
heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sad.
It's really, really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hmm. That you just don't know how you want to respond to that in those situations,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know. We have some new tricks this morning.
Okay. I'm seeing light on one side of my face. Is that how you all see
Yeah,
it?
I'm going to change the music here. I know the music and all that. Yeah, you need light on the right side of your face,
On the
and
right
you'll
side.
be very good. Yeah, you're
Okay.
coming along. You're coming along. Sound
I
good,
think I'll
and
just
one
swing
side of your
back.
face working. So over the weekend, because of course we had a lot of newspapers over the weekend. The Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines said, porn and violent movies are contributing to the spike in crime.
Yeah, I really don't know what data the minister has to support that, and I'm being kind with my words here because I wasn't so kind when Paul sent the article to me. I'm being kind with my words here. Morning Minister of National Security. I don't know what data you would have used to support the fact that you're saying that violent movies and porn. Well,
But
if
I
that's
think,
the case, if that's the case, Trinidad and Tobago, we would have been 10 times worse than Jamaica.
well, I'll tell you, empirically, he's absolutely right.
Empirically.
Empirically, let's separate them.
Well, you explain.
Yeah, let's
Because the
separate
listeners
them.
will want to know.
Violent movie, violent video games have been shown in multiple studies to contribute to particularly younger people engaging in antisocial and violent behavior.
Right. I've heard that before.
It is empirically absolutely correct.
I've heard that before.
And
And music, right?
pornography, yeah, and pornography in some cases can also contribute to persons having a warped sense of what sexual activity should be and
Okay.
perpetrating violence in some cases on women and men. So if you separate them, he's empirically on point. I know the knee-jerk reaction is Hines and what's Triple is he talking again sometimes, but empirically, because I've done in undergrad and master's research on both issues,
Yeah.
and music with violent lyrics in some cases
Yeah.
can also contribute to antisocial behavior among particularly adolescents.
That I have heard.
So
And
he
it's your,
is empirically, he can back it up.
well, he should have.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know people
Yeah.
will be dissecting it this morning,
Yeah,
but I'm telling
yeah.
you from my over the years of research, he's on
Yeah.
point. Now,
Because
when you say it in the context of Trinidad and Tobago and what we're seeing here, it is not even nearly the significant contributor to crime, right? So when you say it in the context of what we're seeing with murders and stuff, it's a stretch.
yeah,
Right.
because I don't think we
So
have
that's
that.
not a major contributor to crime.
Right. Our problem is unemployment and gangs and so on. That's mainly our problem
Gangs.
here.
And
You
yeah,
understand?
right, you're right. Unemployment and people still
Yeah.
turning to illegal means
Yeah.
to make matters me.
Yeah, I think that's what our problem is. So I was say, so he should have probably, and he kind of did contextualize it because he was responding to in defense of Commissioner of Police earlier here with Christopher, because he was defending her statement about divine intervention, and she doubled down on that again, eh?
Yeah,
Um,
well,
and she went on to say that that's one opinion, that prayer is a personal thing, right? And whilst you may share what you personally believe in, I have no problem with that. And whilst you may want to encourage people to live the life that you personally live, to use it to say that that is what we need to fix crime here is, to me, a stretch, right? I agree with you. that everybody needs divine intervention, but you need divine intervention in your personal capacity. That's how I look at things, right?
Well, if
And
you, and I absolutely, I think you're absolutely right. You're
yeah,
on point. 'Cause when a
yeah,
commissioner of police jumps out and says, because she said a lot about crime strategies will not work without prayer. So what
yeah,
about people who believe in God?
yeah,
So
they,
they absolved of crime then.
yeah,
It's just you're not imposing or imbuing any sense of confidence, and then she roll out some 10-point crime plan that looked like a combination of Stephen Williams.
well, it's from the playbook of the commissioner.
Yeah, it just sounds
Yeah,
like same old, same old, same
yeah,
old to me, and it's just
yeah,
like really, we will improve detecting crime. We will employ more technology. We will clean up the police service of criminal officers involved in criminal activity. The same 10 points that didn't work.
yeah. Yeah, it has been a repeat of all that has been said by the former
Regurgitation
commissioner.
of same old, same old. Good
Yeah.
morning to Guy Small, Melissa Nelson, Arthur, Ray, and All Star Heart, who are all watching us on YouTube now. And they can comment on our discussion also on
Okay,
YouTube.
no problem.
You know, so I mean, I understand they're grappling for answers. You understand? I understand the public wants answers and solutions and progress. But you had to be careful what you say because people are going to hold you accountable for what you say. And um, when yes, we are a particularly Christian, religious country. Let me not say Christian because we have Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, etc. You
Yeah.
understand? But you can't be telling the country pray and God will help us through crime. So we wasn't praying for the last 25 years.
Well,
We didn't pray in 2008
yeah, and
when we had
my
the kind
thing
of crime
is,
spike, and we didn't pray last year. We didn't pray
yeah,
last year at all because we get 600 with us.
yeah. But my thing, as I say, is that you can't ask the country to pray more. You can't ask so and so. You can, and if that's your value system, I have no problem with you sharing it with us. But as I say, to use it to go down the road of crime, because if you have to go down that road, then I don't know if she knows, I don't know if she may know this, but I suspect a lot of these young men who engage in criminal activity, and Richard might want, they're not concerned about, they have
No.
no spiritual grounding at all, none. They've never been to Sunday school. They've never been to
Let me
Bible
get a round of
school.
applause for that.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
They
right.
have
But
none.
you think them hardened criminal. Or is it that we supposed to pray for them to change? Maybe that's what she mean.
I think that's where she's going, but I
But,
don't
but
think
my point is, if you are saying prayer is the way, are you suggesting, based on our crime statistics, we have not been praying for the last 20 years?
yeah.
Or we didn't pray enough last year?
Yeah.
Or if we pray more this year, it'll come now?
I want the commissioner certainly to continue to pray if that's her forte. Continue to
I
pray.
want the commissioner to do the job she was hired to do,
Yeah. No, well, I mean, if she
which means
she
run an
believes,
effectively operating police service
yeah,
and prevent and interdict
Yeah.
crime.
yeah. If she and we, some of us, believe in prayer as much as she does, no problem. Pray.
I believe in prayer.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe in work with prayer
Yeah.
and effective work with prayer.
Yeah. I don't. What I don't believe in is using that as a crutch, because you're gonna have to use it a lot.
It coming up
Because
like
of
that.
where our society is, you're going to have to use it a lot, and I don't know. People would start saying, "Hey, but you sounding like a hypocrite. You sounding like you really know." People would start judging her based on that statement alone, and that's not fair to her. You understand? I don't think she's being fair to herself by using that as her main tool in the fight against crime. That can't be fair to her. She needs to rethink that strategy.
Well,
I know a lot of people in the Christian world use that as a strategy for everything, and that's dangerous. That's what I would say. It's dangerous. You know, I
and that's
I
fine.
believe in the power of prayer.
I believe in the power of prayer too, but as
Yeah.
a police commissioner, that can be a go-to. I mean, and I guess the counter argument will be that I said a lot. I talked about strategies. I talked about my 10-point plan, but the newspaper's banner was pray.
And that is what she's going to be
So you have
faced
to
with.
understand how the media operates. The media is not
Yeah.
there to go through your things in minutia and say,
Yeah.
well, maybe she wanted us to focus on this and not that.
Yeah.
You need to craft your message more effectively.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the
Pray.
day, it either adds to your credibility and your confidence, or it
Yeah.
takes away from it.
And you could pray unceasingly and pray quietly, but I know what is going on, I think I know what is going on, without any
What is going
stress.
on?
You see, there are a bunch of people who feel praying loudly works, so they shout, they stamp, they speak in tongues, they pray loudly because they feel.
I find you going on personally.
No, I know what I'm talking about.
I know.
They feel, and even if you go to a Pentecost, most Pentecostal churches, they tell you they want to hear you.
And that's fine.
Shout,
And that is fine. That's
You
how
know?
they worship, and that's fine. People worship in
And
different ways.
right.
I
And
love
I'm saying,
I have been to Pentecostal churches, I've been to Baptist churches, and I love how they pray. I like the energy, I like the song. I like it. There's nothing wrong with that. People worship in different ways.
yeah, but that's not. I don't know where
As
is
somebody
that a
tell me already,
requirement.
you have the right to worship what you want, but God not deaf. Shouting ain't gonna make God
That's what
hear
I'm saying.
anybody.
I don't know whether that is a requirement.
Well, it's not a requirement, it's somebody's personal belief and their practice.
Well, they make it sound like it is.
No, you saying so, but I think people have
No,
the right
from
to
my
worship
I
how they
could only
feel.
speak from my experiences.
Okay.
Maybe other people have had different experiences, but I can speak from my experiences. You understand?
I just think that while I agree, and I am a Christian, so I will say yes. Hey, good morning, guys. Somebody saying he's enjoying us on his smart TV, so we big up on TVs this morning too.
All right.
And
I
know
actually
what
could put
good
my
morning.
TV on our show.
And just turn down the volume, please, when you're doing it.
Yeah, I'll have to remember to do
And
that.
I think you need to come up with crime fighting strategies. And I am a strong believer in say little, show much. Particularly in your first 6 months. Come after 6 months and say, here, Upman, this is my track record. You talk, and accomplish very little and then make excuses for not accomplishing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's sounding like to me. It's not actually
Yeah.
taken in front, but I will see. As I said, I saw the 10-point crime plan. I'll pull it up just now.
Yeah.
But when I saw it, hear me, if we take the date of this newspaper, this is 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And in the implement of technology, and we're still battling to get them on
Body cams.
on body cams and dash cams consistently.
Yeah.
They
I think
can't
we
show
need to have a
they can't
chat.
show us consistent footage at all, or because
Yeah.
it's caught up in an investigation.
I think we need to have a chat with the commissioner of police because we would have had liberal access to former commissioners of police. Williams did a few interviews with us.
Good luck with
Good luck with
Guy
that.
Griffith did a lot, and McDonald Jacob did quite a bit too with us. You know. So we have to try and get Mrs. Christopher. I know that she's been sought after by other media houses too, and well, maybe she feels the time is not right. You know.
She's talking in kind of fora where nobody can question her though.
Yeah. Well.
She's going to fora, which is fine. I applaud that, going to business chambers, and I think this weekend was at a different forum. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was a different forum, but you need to present yourself for questioning by the media.
Yeah.
I ain't no big fan of Stephen Williams, but he allowed himself to be questioned by the media, right?
Yes.
We had him on a few times.
I personally interviewed Dwayne Gibbs and Jackie Batsky when they were here on more than one occasion. The Canadians. Stephen McDonald Jacob was extremely accessible. Gary Griffith was exceedingly accessible.
A little too much sometimes.
Well, yeah, but you know what? You have to give him that credit.
No, just teasing him. I actually teasing him there.
Because he never shied away when you call him, made himself available.
Yeah.
So let's just say, let's give Mrs. Christopher, excuse me, is it Harewood, Christopher Harewood?
Here with Christopher.
Mrs. Christopher, the benefit of the doubt and say she's settling in.
Yeah.
But is what? About 3 months now?
Yeah.
I think the honeymoon
Probably.
is very well over.
Probably.
Not only that, and I keep saying, she is not new to the police service.
Yeah.
She's a career police officer, highly decorated, highly educated.
Yeah.
She didn't get to the position of police commissioner because she's female. It's because of her credentials and her experience, right?
Yes.
At a high operating level in the police service. So
Yeah.
you're not coming in from zero.
Yeah.
So
I suspect their strategy is to use their corporate communications unit to say most of the
I
talking
don't
now.
work, you know, and then
Because that you notice that's been ramped up.
that
The
don't work, you
issue
know.
of the issue of the fingerprint technology, the issue of the ammunition that went missing. This is the corporate communications unit saying those things. And it's, you understand? I suspect that's the strategy, to use that unit more. I may be wrong,
Well,
but that seems to be their strategy.
I know.
Yeah.
Right now
But
it's
I know Friday. When was the last time we were on? Was last week Wednesday, right? And was it Wednesday? Yes,
Yeah,
because
Wednesday.
Thursday was a holiday and Friday we took the day off. So I got a lot of messages on that Friday morning from a lot of people who saying, "Where are you all? Why didn't you all?" And kind of remonstrating with me. And I'm saying, but we did say
We did say we'd be off
we
on
will not be
Thursday
on
and
Friday.
Friday. We apologize
but-
if you missed it, but we did
but
advise we had some
clearly a lot of people
works
missed it.
and technical upgrades to do, which we are
Yeah.
showcasing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. What happened on Wednesday is because we knocked out the system early, so we weren't able to repeat it at the
We
end of
weren't
the
logged
show.
out. Steve logged onto the wrong link.
Yeah.
I ain't
But he
taking that
kept on the old link. He didn't log onto the wrong link.
Yeah,
He never logged onto the new link.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So that is why a lot of people
We
would
went
have
on
missed.
suddenly after 8 o'clock, and we apologize
Right.
for that.
Right. So we also want to apologize for that and apologize for those who didn't know that we would not be on Friday. Our humblest apologies, because I you see the importance of this show to a lot of people, because quite a few of them private messaged me, and I would imagine you guys would have gotten messages too. But we didn't get to talk about the Piarco airport matter that made the news over the weekend, over those few days too. The issue of the award that the government of Trinidad and Tobago would have
100
gotten.
million US, 700
Yeah,
million
100
TT.
million US.
Now, I was telling somebody that, keep in context, they said that is the kind of money they took out. They said, keep in context. That is, they combined some of the two persons who were the subject of the lawsuit, and it also includes interest on 18 years.
Yes.
So
Yes.
keep those.
Yes. $25 million, I think, in interest.
Yeah. So
And I think it's $32 million US each, or
Yeah.
something of the sort, And so it's 100 million. They say up over 100 million. I don't know why they always use terms like that, but it's over 100 million US. They didn't say how much over.
they rounded it off.
Yeah, that was the award that we got in the Miami court. And said approximately after 2 hours deliberation, a jury comprised of 6 residents of Miami-Dade County has found Steve Ferguson liable for multiple claims arising from the fraud perpetrated in the connection with the redevelopment of the Piarco International Airport in Port of Spain, and also Calma Quip was formerly headquartered in Raul Gutierrez is the former principal of Calma Quip. He also was found guilty, and Brian Kwai Tong, the former Minister of Finance, who they said facilitated the right. The jury concluded that all 3 defendants were liable for US $32,988 in damages suffered by the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and granted the RICO claims made by the state, which trebled damages. So I'm not sure how that works. If it'll be $96 million each. I'm not sure how that works, right? But that's what the report says, right? And Miami-Dade Circuit Judge Humberto Diaz presided over the announcement of the verdict at around 6 p.m. At the Miami courthouse in 73 West Flagler Street. Hey, I've been to West Flagler Street, right? So that was
it was a victory for the government, a significant victory.
It was indeed.
Given the kind of licks that we've seen and the fact that the DPP here discontinued the case amid much public furor and outcry. So it was a significant victory. So Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, who served as the government representative in Miami,
Yes.
rejoicing. I saw he and he's very good at social media.
Oh, yes.
He put up a TikTok walking into the courtroom with the song from Voice playing. Well, I'm far from finished.
Is that so? I didn't see that.
Wow, Faris. Grab it out of the sky, Faris. Grab it
Hey.
out of the sky. Well, I'm far and walking in. You know, he's always extremely well dressed.
Always that.
Dapper as hell. Walking, the cameras following him into Miami-Dade courtroom through the corridors and stuff. Very well done. You know, you're good at
Oh,
that.
I didn't see that at all.
And I should have shared it with you. And the song
Yeah.
playing, well, I'm far from finished, which means in his head, he thinks he has to prove to people that he's far from finished.
Well, yeah. Well,
You
he
understand?
certainly. Have you heard from the opposition leader yet? Because she, a couple of weeks before, she was saying is 25 years of persecution from the government and how nothing really, well, indicating that nothing really happened and it was just persecution, not prosecution. That's what she said when Basdeo Pandey, the case against Basdeo Pandey and Omar Pandey was dropped. That's what she said. Even though she used that same case to kick Pandey out, they used that same case in 2010 to kick Basdeo Pandey out. But she hasn't said anything as yet concerning this matter.
No.
Because certainly if it's persecution, the Miami people they are real persecutors. And they might be PNM too. If we have to follow her
It's a
thinking.
court matter. People were hired, Wendell.
I'm being facetious, right?
I hope so.
I am. Because that's the thinking that them had to be PNM in Miami. Because they helping persecute people here.
Yeah, you're grabbing out of the sky now. You're grabbing hard. Okay, you're really grabbing hard now.
I just finding a way to
You're being mischievous.
Well, yes, I am. I have to admit I am being mischievous, But Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the opposition has said nothing. Nothing. I hope the state put those funds to good use. And
Well, no, not yet. Martin Daly wrote, and he's right, that we have to get details because the people have a right of appeal,
yeah,
which I'm sure they will.
yes.
And the appeal will go through the situation. And somebody was also asking me over the weekend if this has any impact on the criminal case in Trinidad. Well, the DPP has discontinued the case. I mean,
Yeah,
I think he put a proviso at the moment. So if he feels he has this adds to his case or can support a case, he's free to reopen the case,
but wasn't the DPP aware that this matter was coming up for judgment
Yeah.
prior to him shutting down that particular case?
Yeah, but he will look at what he has, you understand, and the prospect of a successful conviction in his, because based on what he has, he can't wait until them do the thing. It's 18 years, Wendell.
Well, yeah. Well, 2 more weeks on the hurt, DPP.
Well, okay, congratulations.
No, I'm just saying that's my
and you're getting
opinion.
your law degree and your
I'm
LLC,
just saying.
and rising in the ranks in the office of
waiting 2
senior
more weeks to
prosecutor,
see
DPP's
what
office,
happened in
advising
Miami.
DPP
Because
now.
the Miami judgment was carded. So waiting 2 more weeks may
Yeah,
not have hurt.
mhm,
It may not have hurt. I don't know.
Congratulations on your
I
ascension to the bar.
spending too much time around attorneys. That's
On
no
your
problem.
ascension to the bar.
I'm spending
Congratulations on your
too
ascension
much
to the
time
bar.
around attorneys. I'm gonna fix
And now
that.
we have 2 attorneys on the show. I mean, brilliant.
I'm gonna fix that. I'm spending too much time around attorneys. I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah, that kind of stretching a little bit there, buddy. Okay, you're pulling it out their hat there, buddy. So, yeah.
But as I say, it's what else happened over the weekend? I kind of lose track. We've been off a little while,
Well, what else happened over the weekend?
and then I'll be off a little while. So you probably could send me the link tomorrow, Paul, and I'll join you all because when and Wednesday because we'll all be off on Friday and we'll all be off on Monday. Right? So I'll try
I want to have to cut your pay.
Yeah, I know. And you're quick to do that.
Oh, yes.
And then, no, we don't call this pay, eh?
Your stipend.
My little stipend.
They deduct your stipend. You understand?
Wow.
What else happened over the weekend? I saw the
Oh,
Prime
bus route
Minister
passes have expired for the people who would have had them. It expired on, I'm losing track of time now. March the 31st. What day was that? That was Saturday?
could have been.
Yes, Saturday. March 31st. Saturday. Because, no, March 31st would have been, if the holiday is March 30th, which was Thursday, March 31st would have been Friday. Am I correct? Yes, March 31st would have been Friday. So it expired Friday at midnight. You know?
So what does that mean? People who have to go and get it replaced, or they have an
Yeah,
extension or what?
people, yeah, you have to get your bus route passes
What's the budget to be clear this morning?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that they're out in the numbers giving tickets because people are still going to take chances, thinking that it's just a few days. And but if it's Mr. Phillips is not out there anymore. He was kind of very hard to deal with, almost impossible. I don't know if the other officers.
With this man for pulling you over years ago.
No. He was absolutely rude and arrogant and rude back then. Absolutely. He didn't want to hear any kind of reasoning at all. You know?
Another big issue related to the DPPs, which was on the front page of the Express, was the suspended public servants in the Parliament who was accused of defrauding the state and still getting paid. Over 12 years, this case is going on.
Okay.
And the person has gotten 0.5 million in salary over 12 years. The person was accused of conspiring with 10 other people between July 1st and November 30th, 2010 to defraud the office of the Parliament of $269,938.43 by falsifying constituency office employment records. As the Parliament pays, people may not know, but the Parliament is the entity that pays for constituency offices of parliamentarians.
And staff. Yeah.
And staff. They pay the rent, I think it is, or the lease, or whatever it is.
Yes.
And they pay I think each constituency office is allowed a person or two on staff.
Yeah, I think it's more than one. It's more than one for sure.
Yeah. Right.
And I think even in your sub office, because you're allowed a constituency sub office, and they also pay for that and the staff.
So the Parliament normally allocates each MP a sum of $52,000 monthly for the payment of staff. It pays for the rent of the main office at $10,000 a month and sub office at $5,000. So you're right. Right. Money is also provided for utilities around $8,500, and members are supposed to supply the relevant documents to support the claims. Right. So this person is accused of conspiring with 10 other people to defraud the Parliament of $269,000, just over $250,000.
How though?
Well, you could supply false invoices. You could say people who are working ain't working.
Oh. Is
You
a
understand?
parliamentarian do that?
Not a parliamentarian, somebody in the office of the Parliament.
Oh.
An employee in the office of the Parliament.
Without the knowledge of the parliamentarian visits offices, so they must know who working and who ain't working.
Well, I don't know if the parliamentarian was mentioned in the matter, but it has not been brought to the public domain that has happened.
Did they say what area?
No, I didn't read that far down.
Okay. I didn't see that story.
Keep going, man. Keep going. You'll get the
No,
answer.
but that's a story that would interest me because I'm chairman of a constituency. So I'm very familiar with who works in the constituency offices.
And I'm sure you have to supply all the documents to the Parliament to support whatever claims you make.
Yeah. So that was it. There's a standard. You can't just a parliamentarian really supposed to. A parliamentarian is the person who oversees their offices. They may not micromanage it because they would have an office manager, but they certainly will also be aware of who's working in the office. I don't know if there's a sign-off part for the parliamentarian. I could check that with my MP if he has to sign off on these documents when they're submitting it. You know? So I could check that. But that's it.
I could probably scan the article and see if the particular constituency is mentioned.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. Ooh, Angostura records $1 billion in revenue. Well, what a surprise.
That's great for us in Trinidad and Tobago
Of course it's great.
A lot of that is money that they would have gotten outside. Because their products are global. So
Especially the bitters.
right, the person's name is the temporary clerk in 2011. The temporary clerk.
2011 is that it?
I read in the papers, huh?
Read the papers, Paul.
This is the Express. You
Eh,
have to be careful, right?
eh.
April 2nd, Express of April 2nd has started as 2023. So yesterday's Express, right?
Right.
Right? In 2011, right, temporary clerk Danny Latchman was charged with conspiracy to defraud the office of the parliament. Right? A scanning. Trying to see if they say which
Was
parliament.
not associated with Princeton.
I don't know. I'm looking.
I think I vaguely remember a story concerning that constituency.
Right. I'm looking. Keep talking. I'll find it. If it's here.
Well, just Google Danny Latchman and see which part he was.
You Google it now.
All right, I'll do
You're
that.
Googling looking. I don't read in the article like put me in trouble already.
Somebody,
The article doesn't state which constituency. That's a curious omission, quite frankly, because I'm sure the information about the constituency is there. You understand? But I'm sure we'll find out anyway. So Dr. Rowley brought it up as another issue related to the slow pace of justice and,
yeah,
and it is related to those matters taking forever. That's 12 years, eh? 12 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a lot of time. Right? It is now 6:46. I guess it's time for us to go into the newspaper headlines. Steve, you're not keeping time. What's wrong with you? Come on.
Yep. Okay, I know at 6:45 we go to headlines, and then
Yeah,
we get
what's
our
wrong?
results of our morning poll.
Right. So let's start with the Newsday for today, Monday, 3rd April. Mother and daughter die in Superior fire. Really sad news. St. Helena businessman kidnapped, shot during high-speed chase. David Abdullah rejects the UNC's position on electricity hikes. Mark, that's Wade Mark, Senator Mark, a $1.9 million land deal proves government's reluctance to proclaim Procurement Act. Rambali Commissioner's crime plan bereft of ideas. UNC mix-up is lame, excused by Office of the AG in Vindra Naipaul Coleman case. One nurse describes her experience in TNT. We overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. And Richard and Campbell golden at Florida relays. Let's move to the Express for today, Monday the 3rd. UNC MP scoffs at prayers for crime. That's Dinesh Shagwanas West MP, Dinesh Rambali. Israel court system clogged. That's Israel Khan. Baby born in police station. Yara employees settle for 10% increase. Men must do their part to end gender equality, and Farley to be interim leader of new party. Let's move now to the Guardian for today. The Guardian takes a while. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to reload their page on their official landing page. Maybe that's the issue here. Come on, Guardian. Mom 42, daughter 8 perish in fire overwhelmed near door after helping other relatives to escape. Archbishop Gordon to citizens sacrificed to build a better TNT in his homily, Palm Sunday homily. Morris Julian concerned about school number dropout, ministry reaching out to affected children. Princestown man stabbed to death as Limers argue. Clico values MHIL shareholding at US 377 million. Cops deliver baby in station dormitory. First time mom is 23. She thanks them. Venezuelan 28 stabbed to death. And Incham thanks government for Iran-Syria repatriation plan. Allah will bless and reward the PM immensely. So those are trending stories in your Guardian, Express, and Newsday for today, Monday, the 3rd of April, 2023.
Well, sorry,
Your
let me
camera
put
went
back
off, sir.
Yeah, let me put back on my camera. All right. So you see us in the back there? Look up. That's YouTube.
There we go.
All right.
Fancy.
Yeah. Huh?
Fancy.
So
All right, let's get the
there's an
results of
old
poll
story
from
in-
Thursday,
yeah.
Wednesday.
Let's do it after I set Mandel.
All right, okay. I'll talk about the old story from 20 because 11 people were charged with this fraud.
They said to him and 10 others.
Yeah.
Wow. But they have the names in the old
All right.
article.
Steve, the results
the
brother is very
results.
eager about that story.
Yeah, our poll on Wednesday. Do you believe that Philip Alexander's comments about the Prime Minister was racist? That was our poll on Wednesday. And of course, the results are in a lot of votes on this one. 63% said yes. All right,
Six-
let's
Because it was racist.
yeah.
How can it
Yeah,
not be
but-
racist?
Yeah,
Imitating a
but
monkey.
37% of the pollsters didn't think it was.
Yeah, 38 said no.
I don't know.
Just somebody just, yeah.
How could you not think that's racist?
Yeah.
I guess anyway, I'm not say that.
Our call-in poll video was 24 said yes and none said no.
Okay, our question this morning will surround the statement by Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hine that violent movies and porn are contributing to crime. So the answer is, do you agree with National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines that
Yeah.
violent movies and porn are
Are contributing to our
Contributing
rise in our crime
to-
levels.
crime in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
All right, so 222-8255 North Americans have a toll-free number for you. 866-525-1099. This our number is directly into our studio. All right. Yeah, and of course, just send us a message on our message board at power1and2fm.com, and of course on YouTube. It'll also send it there if you're watching us on YouTube and other platforms. So far, I have Pan Jazz saying yes to the poll. I got Mr. Carapo saying yes, I agree. All right. Kenny in Harlem says yes. Paula, good morning, Paula. Paula also says yes. All right, so 222-8255, toll free, North Americans, 866-525-1099. Trev in Arima says yes. Yeah, once again, our poll.
Do you agree with National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines that porn and violent movies are contributing to a crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago? That's our question this morning.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that statement?
And an extension, those games as well.
Well, he didn't touch on the games, and neither did he
Yeah,
touch
he
on the
didn't.
music. But he
No.
spoke about the movies and
And Paul, you're on
porn.
mute.
He's off camera too. Probably run to do the same thing you run to do every now and then.
All right. So, do you believe with the Honorable Minister Fitzgerald Hines? Let's see. Ish out in Malik says definitely yes. Nemesis, hell no. Stretch says yes, and also the music.
But we're not adding to it, eh?
Yeah. Carol Guevara says yes. Wade out in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada says yes. All right, got some calls coming through. Let's go. Good morning.
Good morning, yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Morning.
I would say yes, but not in a vacuum. Wendell, you're on point
Morning.
this morning. I gotta tell you that.
Which one? Sorry.
He says you're on point.
You're on point.
Oh.
I agree with you with some statements you made for the morning. I'm agreeing with you all the way.
All right, big guy. Have a great weekend, man.
All right, big guy. Thank you.
Well, a great
Good morning,
week.
caller.
Reach weekend already.
Good morning. Going
Hello.
once.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I say yes to the poll.
Gotcha. Thank you. Ms. Maloney says yes. Rita Boodoo Jennings says yes. CJ out in New York says yes. Good morning, CJ.
Morning, CJ. And on cue, I'm sure Zena will call. She ain't calling yet.
Not yet. No.
Zena, wake up.
That ain't gonna happen anytime soon. She's sleep
We
talk.
live on YouTube, Zena. We on Facebook. We on what other platforms? Twitter.
And
Where else can you
Instagram
see
and
us?
Facebook. Do you agree with Minister Fitzgerald Hines, the Minister of National Security, that porn and violent movies, what was it to me?
Are contributing to
A
our crime level.
contribution to our crime situation. Yes or no? All right. Call us 222-8255. We're just like Big Guy out in New York. And New York is going to be hot today and tomorrow. 866-525-1099.
Did you say hot?
Yeah,
Did you
not
say New York?
weather-wise. Not weather-wise.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
What's the weather going to be like in London?
London today. Let me just check it here for you. London is 11 and cloudy.
I suspect it'll be cloudy for the rest of the week.
Yeah, 11 and cloudy.
Good weather for cricket.
Leah Joseph says yes. Thank you so much. You got 3 minutes again to vote, 3.5 to be precise. 866-525-1099. That's our toll-free number. Locally, it's 222-8255-612-8255. All right?
Oh, that's a lovely room there, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank
Good morning.
I do my best.
Yes, in part.
All right. Thanks, Zena.
All right.
That's it. That's your Tobago resort?
Does that
Or you
look like?
Washington? It's
Does
Washington.
that look? Yeah. Does that look like Tobago in the background?
Is that Washington or London? Huh?
It's-
Is Washington or London?
It's New York City.
That's New York. Ugliest place I ever been to.
I haven't been to New York in, can't even remember when. DJ Ray says no.
All right.
Thank you, DJ Ray.
Could you all repeat the poll for people, please?
We just did, as you just
Do you agree with Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines that porn and violent movies are contributing to our criminal activity in Trinidad and Tobago? That's what he would have said yesterday. Of course, Dr. Paul, the Honorable, has said that he has made a study of that, and there is empirical evidence to suggest that he is correct, even though the minister didn't say so. But you know, we have to add music. I guess if we wanted, we could have add music and what was the other activity? Certainly, some bits of music would come in there too. All right, but he said porn and violent movies in particular.
Oh, okay. So countries. So we're the only country that watches porn and violent movies.
Well, Paul and I argued that we don't think that's the problem in Trinidad and Tobago. I propose that it's more unemployment and gang activities. You know, that I don't know that a lot of these people even have time to watch a movie.
I do.
Them on the block, they're doing all kind of crazy things. They ain't outside in no TV room for people to come
Yeah.
and find them. Unless they're watching it on their phone.
Cynthia Ramsarup. Good morning, Cynthia. Says yes. Thank you, Cynthia. All right, got a call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I vote already. Users looking at Love and Hip Hop.
Love and hip hop. What's that?
It's a series.
Can you help me?
It's a series. Reality
series?
TV. Reality TV
It's a-
series. Isn't it?
Oh, okay. I don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
222-8255 on our message board, on our website, and on our app. Of course, as well, if you're joining us on YouTube, you can vote there. All right. Rampage says no way.
And we have to remember the context in which he said it. It relates to Trinidad and Tobago. So I think I think he may be right when you look at the overall statistics throughout the world.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the evidence as it relates to Trinidad and Tobago.
You just confused me. You said he might be right if you looked at the overall statistics. What do you mean?
Which is what Paul confirmed. Paul said yes. Paul did a study on it, and it is in fact he may be on the right track. But we don't
That
think
porn
that.
and violent movies make a society more violent. Is that the premise?
Well, that's Paul said there is evidence to suggest that that could be happening in other places, but we don't think it's happening here. That was our opinion.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
Yeah, we don't think that is what is contributing to it here in Trinidad and Tobago. But again, as I said, if the evidence suggests, well, then bring it. Let's see. You know, I would love to see. You know, because a lot. If we have to go down the road, a lot of these criminal activities also is also coming from people who are in jail. Where they getting to see what?
Yeah, true. D says no to the poll. Lorna, morning Lorna, Carly and Indy, no to the poll. Miss Ingrid, my answer to the poll is no. All right, thank you so much, Miss Ingrid. As we head up towards our 7 o'clock major news.
So I now officially have to find a room to do this program and get a proper background. Now that we know for sure we're gonna be streaming on all these different platforms, and I have to find some clothes to wear. Because I generally do this program with clothes. So
I don't know how to absorb that statement.
you don't have to absorb it.
I don't want to.
You don't have to absorb it.
I am not so sure how to, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening are confused.
Because I do the program from home mostly now, because I don't hustle down the road anymore. I used to actually get to office, remember?
Yes.
And do the program from there. And I would have had to be dressed naturally. But now that I'm doing the program mostly from home and then leaving to get down the road, there was no requirement for me to put on clothes or to
All right,
dress.
gentlemen, we got to run into our major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The UNC says a mix-up is a lame excuse by the Office of the Attorney General in the Vindra Naipaul Coolman case. One religious leader calls for sacrifice in a bid to bring about a better nation, and help is promised to the family of a mother and an 8-year-old girl who perished in fire. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. Shoguana's West MP Dinesh Rambali yesterday rubbished news reports that the Attorney General's office claimed that court documents in a lawsuit by accused persons in the Vindra Naipaul Coolman murder case had been sent to the wrong department in the ministry. The claim was made in the ministry's recent application to set aside the High Court's recent $20 million compensation awarded to 9 men accused of the murder. In the application, the Attorney General's office claimed that when the lawsuit was filed by the men's legal team, it was served on someone from the Solicitor General's department who was allegedly not designated to make the collection. Roman Catholic Archbishop Jason Gordon cited the need for sacrifices from the population, as this will help bring about positive change in society. Speaking during the homily in the observance of Palm Sunday at the Our Lady of Our Lord Cathedral in San Fernando, Archbishop Gordon said sacrifice amid materialism, pleasure, plenty and comfort is critical moving forward. Archbishop Gordon said reflecting on these values are very important for individuals to stay focused on building a better nation.
And because we live in this world where we believe that the greatest life is a life of pleasure, the life of plenty, and the life of comfort, we have robbed ourselves of the depth of civilization. There is no civilization without sacrifice. Generation that believes that we can exist in this nation without anyone making supreme sacrifice.
A pillar, or rather, it's the independent supporters who will determine the name and symbol of the new political party which will be launched in Tobago. Speaking with the media, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine, said the independent supporters will have a major say on key issues pertaining to how the new entity will operate. Mr. Augustine said it will not be a one-man show, but the nation can expect a teamwork approach from this new political party in how it conducts affairs.
Once bitten, twice shy. And I think in Tobago's political experience, we have had way too many instances where a single individual owns the political entity and then controls it. And so we actually lead the entire executive, and that includes assistant secretaries and all members of the House on our side. We have literally left everything into the hands of some supporters.
A pillar in the community is how some describe 43-year-old Kemba Morris, who died in a fire on Sunday along with her 8-year-old daughter Zaya. Mother of 3, Kemba Morris, tried to save the lives of her family when fire broke out at their Superior home yesterday morning, but sadly she and her younger daughter never made it out. Morris and 8-year-old Zaya were found crouched together mere feet from the back door when the fire was eventually extinguished and firefighters went into the gutted home yesterday morning. Morris' 2 other children, aged 21 and 16, her younger sister Dana Phillip, and another person identified as Jamail Panto, 37, survived, but the ordeal has reportedly left them traumatized. Morris' 2 other children, one of whom was said to be asthmatic, managed to escape the home and were taken for medical treatment. Councillor for Palo Seco, Dana O'Neill Gervais, said assistance will be given to the family and the state agencies will come in and provide support.
And in addition to that, we will do what we can to guide them in terms of counseling and other relief that we personally can bring to them.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Well, finally, here is your weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago fair to partly cloudy, hazy and breezy conditions with a low chance of a few brief showers, mostly fair night with a light breeze. All marine interests are being advised to exercise caution. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature is 26 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock. The UNC says a mix-up is a lame excuse by the Office of the Attorney General in the Vindra Naipaul Coolman case. One religious leader calls for sacrifice in a bid to bring about a better nation, and help is promised to the family of a mother and her 8-year-old daughter who perished in a fire. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for another major newscast at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah. What's going on? What's going on?
Lots going on, lots going on. 9 minutes after the hour is 7 o'clock on this, the third day of April. Thank you so much for joining us on the second hour. And thank you, Evie, for our major news. Of course, we have a news brief coming up at 8 o'clock, okay? Traffic-wise, I got nothing really to tell you about. Little volume at Trinity City towards UE. Page Road is a bit sticky this morning. And getting into the capital from Barrett Tarry is the stickiest spot. Apart from that, this Rivulet Road is heavy. St. Margaret's Village to Claxton Bay and the Southern Main Road, that's a bit heavy as well, all right? Nothing out of the west, nothing on the Maraval too, would you believe? Like school closed? Yes, it has. Less traffic. Yeah, less traffic. All right, gentlemen, so we're back in.
Well, I'm back.
All righty. Thank you so much, Paul. Of course, with our morning poll, do I have any more? No. Let's check our YouTube and see if we got any more votes on our. No, nothing new. So the results of our morning poll.
Wait, Cynthia Ramsarup says yes.
Yeah, I did that already.
Leah Joseph, Kenny and Harlem, you have all of those? Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what these scribes are, you know. The scribes clearly have taken a little coffee time or bathroom time or something of the like.
Yeah. All right. So, of course,
When there's one scribe, there's one scribe. It's Wendell who's supposed to get the result.
Yeah. Our poll was, do you believe Minister Fitzgerald Hines that porn and violent movies contribute to our criminal activity? That is our poll.
All right, and you need the results. And of course, the results of our poll, 18 people said yes, and 6 said no. 18 agreed with Minister Fitzgerald Hines, 6 disagreed.
Well, as I said this morning, there is empirical evidence to support that violent movies, media content generally, can have the effect in some people of precipitating or catalyzing antisocial behaviors or crimes. Just like porn can warp, some kinds of porn can warp people's idea of what sexual activity should be, and in some instances, women in particular, violence is perpetrated against them when people try to reenact those scenarios that are porn movies and not necessarily what people in normal sexual activity do. But in the context of Trinidad and Tobago crime, it's a stretch.
Yeah.
I ain't nobody going and watch Furious 5 and then going and race down the highway.
And that would be Richard.
Or the 10, wherever it is, and then race down the highway. Or go and see John Wick 4, and if they could come and with a nunchuck and beat up everybody in the road. This stretching. That's as productive as the commissioner of police saying, well, yes, we have crime strategies and a new 10-point plan. But if we don't pray, it ain't gonna work. No.
Well, we as boys, I remember growing up, when we used to go and watch Jackie Chan and Chen Quan Tai and Silver Fox and thing. When we walking down the road from Globe or Cinema 2 or Vistarama, one of them, we used to be jumping and fire and kick at the lamppost and thing, you know.
At the lamppost.
We would imitate the movies,
Not people in the road, at the lamppost.
Well, yeah, we ain't doing that against people in the road.
So it wasn't eliciting crime from us.
Right. No, it was.
We imitated some of the behaviors we saw for a short while.
Yeah, it did.
Is that, in the context of what we see with crime today, the gangs and the gun violence and the drug running and the illegal guns, I don't know people looking at a movie and going and bringing illegal guns in containers. Or forming gangs to make sure that drugs transshipped to Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a stretch. They're grabbing at straws.
Yeah.
Good morning, Rishi Maharaj.
Is he on with us already?
Well,
yes, good morning, guys. How you guys are going?
Hi, good morning.
Hey, morning, Rishi. How you doing?
Hi, good morning, Rishi.
All right. How Rishi look like he outside camping so? One of those tents, outdoor tents.
I wish I was. I really wish I was. It's the time, it's that time for camping now.
True.
It is. A lot of camps happening this weekend.
Yeah. So Rishi, thanks for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. Of course, this morning we wanted to talk a little bit about the economy and some of the messaging coming out, particularly from the central bank. The central bank did say that there's an improved outlook. Well, as reported, I should say, there's an improved outlook for Trinidad and Tobago. I think a growth estimate of 1.2%. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And I know certainly the Minister of Finance, according to one of his social media feeds, which I'm sure you've seen by now, talked about the issue of exports outweighing imports by, was it 2 to 1? So I don't know what your thoughts were. What your thoughts are on all of that?
He just said the CSO confirmed that the value of goods exported from Trinidad and Tobago in 2022 was double the value of goods imported. The unemployment rate also decreased from 4.7 in 2022, and the economy grew in the second quarter of 2022 by 1.2%. Of course, he put a quip, yet the media is not interested in this good news. You know, he must put a job in there.
So this is second quarter data for 2022 he's talking about, correct? So that would be like around July 2022, so almost a while back. I think so. One, it's good news to hear that the economy is doing good. I think everybody wants to hear that, you know, things is happening, changing because of what's been going on for the last couple of years. The downside of that is that he's talking about 2022 figures. And, you know, in the world we live in today, real-time data is really data that you're really looking at and need. So to be looking at 2022 data and then looking and transposing that to 2023 and saying, well, you know, things are looking up, it's some, for me, it's a stretch because we need to have real-time data because things are so fluid and so fluctuating. And as we are saying that, I have my phone with me this morning. I don't know if you guys saw, but this is from Reuters on the Reuters website. Oil surges as OPEC surprise output cuts shakes market. So OPEC, I think, during the weekend made decisions to cut output. And by cutting oil output into the thing, it's going to cause oil prices to rise, which is good for us in a way because we want high energy prices. But the bad thing about it is that it could also spur inflation in terms of the cost of goods and the cost of things going up. And that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of the European countries and US talking about why this cut now, because this could spur inflation and other things like that. So while I understand, I applaud, you know, there's a shift moving, there's a, you know, upward trend in terms of the economic markets. Again, data is he's looking at 2022, and we're now in April 2nd, April 3rd, 2023, and we're seeing that things in the market are shifting again. So, you know,
Well, how
that's the
reliable is
context we're working in.
a year-old data in the context of trying to transpose that to now? I mean, it is good news because he's quoting 2022 data, which shows that some good work has been done and there are results. But is that a trend he's trying to implicate to us?
I think he's probably trying to show a trend in that. Okay, and let's be realistic here. I mean, the data he talked about exposed that, okay, exports outweigh imports, which is good. You want to be exporting more than importing because, I mean, you're earning a little bit more foreign currency than spending. So that's good news. Two, the economy, while we have taken a hit and while a lot of people have curtailed spending and stuff like that, where people are still seeing have begun to see a kind of level off in prices and stuff like that. And we haven't downtailed as much as many naysayers would have liked to see. So that's good news. I'm not saying it's not good news in terms of the handling and the way that we have tried to ride this wave of COVID and the economic realities of it afterwards with the war in Ukraine and inflation. So I'm not saying that's bad news. That's very good news to have that. However, in the context of the world today, the world changes very rapidly and very quickly. So to be looking at 2022 data and saying, well, that shows that we've been doing a good job, fine, I take that. But to then transpose that data into April 3rd, 2023, and the realities of what's happening in the world today, especially in a world that is very fluid, it can change rapidly. I mean, this announcement over the weekend, you know, took everyone by surprise. Nobody was thinking that OPEC would have cut output, and by cutting output, surge oil prices, surge energy prices, and the effect of that is inflation. Because again, we still import a lot of goods into Trinidad and Tobago, so inflation will impact people in different sectors. We don't know what the impact it may have on shipping. We don't know what the impact it may have on the raw materials of goods. So that in the end, 3-4 years, I'd say maybe 3-4-6 months down the line, you may see that begin to hit us slowly over time. So again, not saying that the Minister of Finance is saying it's bad, it's very good. But again, to look at that in the context of 2023, we need to look at it a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, commodity prices going up is always a good sign for Trinidad and Tobago, and I know it also is reflected in ammonia prices and probably methanol prices getting increased leverage, so to speak, on the world market.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at the non-energy sector, because you have and let's specifically look at the Trinidad and Tobago manufacturing sector, because the Minister of Trade has repeatedly said that, you know, this sector is improving, is doing well, and is starting to contribute more. Some of the data seems to suggest that. What's your take on the manufacturing sector and its contribution and its increased GDP contribution to the economy?
Well, I think you always want the manufacturing sector to begin to contribute a lot more. I know for many decades we have been reliant on oil and gas, and we know the fluidity and the volatility of that market, is good news for us, obviously, because we're still an energy producer in methanol and ammonia, natural gas, oil. So obviously, but the volatility in that market means that you want other markets or other sectors of the economy to uptick, to balance off. So when those days go by, that we still have a level of foreign currency and foreign exchange coming in. So I think it's always good for the manufacturing sector and the manufacturing, side of the economy to begin to pick up and look at other markets outside of Trinidad, outside of the Caribbean, because we're now global in scope. And I know a lot of manufacturing companies are beginning to do that. They're beginning to look external, even to CARICOM, and to look at other markets in South America. I think I saw last week where there was a trade show, a trade convention with China. So looking to expand your market broadly and globally is always a good thing, because at the end of the day, heavy reliance on the energy sector, while it's good in some parts, it's also bad, because when things go bad, it can definitely hit us very quickly. So I think, relying on other sectors, not only manufacturing, I would like to see us even move apart from manufacturing to other sectors like the entertainment sector and other parts of the economy beginning to contribute a little bit more to earning foreign exchange, and not just using up foreign exchange. I think at the end of the day, that bolsters well to ride the shocks and the waves that come with energy prices.
Now, I want to focus a bit on the unemployment rate also decreased to 4.7% in 2022. Now, think about the context of that. 2022 would have been when we're coming out of the pandemic, and people who would have shut down their businesses or pulled back on their output, the retail stores, the fast food outlets, etc., would have sent their employees back out.
Mm-hmm.
Or resume some normalcy of operation. So that's nothing to scream about in the context of 2022, because we came out of a pandemic and lockdowns. Businesses were slow to reopen to full steam. So we expect that. Am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong, because we know for 2019, for a lot of 2020, 2021, a lot of companies were restricted in terms of what they can do. A lot of companies scaled back. Furlong people went home. I know a lot of companies that closed and never opened back. So I honestly, I always take that unemployment figure with a pinch of salt, because I really like to understand exactly how they measure it.
Tablespoon of salt.
Whatever you want to put it, but I think it is how you measure it. And then there's always the question that a lot of economics and political science talk about, which is there's unemployment and there's underemployment. And how do we look at the two? Because underemployment is that you're skilled to do a certain level of work, a certain type of work, earn a certain kind of pay or a certain kind of remuneration, and you're not earning that, but you have to work, but you have to provide for your family.
People with masters doing clerk work, basically.
I know a lot of people who have gone through UWI the last couple of years, graduated, and are either doing work that they're not qualified for in terms of lower level, or they've just gone to try to do their own thing, open up their own business, try doing something small on the side, because they're not getting the kind of opportunities they want to get. So again, that unemployment figure has always been a bedbug, I think, for many people out there in terms of what exactly are we measuring, what we're looking at.
Why are we not saying it's bad news? Saying the economy grew by 1.2% in 2022, coming out of the pandemic lockdowns. Isn't that the important context there?
I think that's, because I think we all know what the impact the pandemic had on not only us, on every other country, on every other sector in the world. And to see that, okay, we've had some level of growth, even if it's a small level of growth, always shows at least you're trending in the right direction. But again, the world is volatile. Right now, we live in a very volatile world. Again, we are not price setters, we are price takers in every part of the context of the economics. So whatever happens out there eventually is gonna fall upon us eventually, one time or not. So the world is very volatile. So as policymakers, you need to be looking at, yes, context now, but trying to predict as best as possible, plan for things down the line, 6 months down the line, because things change very rapidly. That could eventually impact us, and in fact, all the good plans that you've had going up to this point could be shattered in an instant.
Let's talk about tourism, Rishi. I'm not so sure where Paul was going. I'm sorry, Paul, for interrupting. But what about tourism and its contribution to the GDP? Because that has always been something that we have heard from governments. I mean, not only this current administration, previous governments always talk about tourism contributing more to the GDP because we obviously, in terms of the Caribbean, probably the only islands that are not actively on the same level as other Caribbean islands pursuing tourism. I mean, even Tobago is not on the level of other Caribbean islands. And I don't know, what is the mindset? What is the key that has to turn for that sector to be zooming and booming in order for Trinidad and Tobago to succeed? Now, I know that there's some challenges because of the crime situation, the cautions that we get from certain governments, etc. But even prior to that, we still had difficulty in terms of attracting the volume of tourists that other islands get.
Well, I guess the first question is, what data do we have to show that tourism contributes to the to the development of the country from an economic point of view? And here, I'm not quoting myself. I'm quoting actually. I've been reading up a lot on. I follow Mala Dukaran on Twitter, and it's a question that she's been asking a lot lately in terms of what, directly can you correlate and show how tourism has been benefiting Caribbean countries as a whole in terms of monies and foreign direct investments and all those different things. I don't know the answer to that one. I don't have the data. I don't know if the data is there. But to look at it from another point of view in terms of we are in a competitive market and we are competing with other countries in the region. We are competing with other countries in this hemisphere for clientele to come in. And we need to have a specific brand and a specific thing that attracts people to here. And there are things that attract people that maybe we don't have in terms of one problem I know they've always spoke about is rooms. Do we have the room space to accommodate these people coming in? Do we have the kind of infrastructure in place to accommodate people? Do we market ourselves out there to be that kind of destination point? Tobago, as you mentioned, Tobago. I think the problem with Tobago is that a lot of people who have to come to Tobago, besides Virgin Airlines, I'm not sure there's still fly to Tobago. I think that was coming to end eventually, and I know there's Condor. How much flights actually directly go to Tobago? Most people, when they have to go to Tobago, have to come to Trinidad, and then from Trinidad, jump on the air bridge to go to Tobago. And then obviously the other thing with, the port and having to be able to accommodate all these cruise ships. So there are a lot of questions in terms of how do we position ourselves to sector. I mean, I know you spoke about crime as being a problem, but Jamaica has crime. Jamaica always flourishes in those parts of Jamaica. You have the Grill, you have Montego Bay and stuff like that. Always does good with tourism.
But Jamaica has been able to successfully differentiate the tourist experience in North Coast, Negril, Churias, Montego Bay from what the news stories are coming out of Kingston.
Right. And our news stories,
it's a much larger island too, so you have to remember that.
Right, but our news stories comes out of Trinidad, but we don't really hear about much crime. Obviously, there's crime in Tobago. I'm not saying no, but Tobago is a very interesting market that we can probably harp on and develop on. But does Tobago have, I guess, is something that THA has always been harping about for many decades. Does THA have the infrastructure and does THA have things in place to allow people to come strictly to Tobago? Because as I mentioned, most people that have to go to Tobago have to come to Trinidad first and hop on a plane to go to Tobago instead of going directly to Tobago. So do we have the proper infrastructure, rooms, and other things in place to begin to sell Tobago? I think Tobago is where it is. It offers a bit of both. It offers the sand and sea that people like. Tobago also offers the ecological part of it. A lot of people looking at nature, hikes and birds and all these different things. So I think Tobago is, for me personally, Tobago is an untapped treasure that, if looked at properly, could definitely increase the types of tourists coming to Trinidad and Tobago. But again, another question is when people go to Tobago, and I got this from, I think last year I went to Tobago. My family and I went to Tobago for a week. We took a taxi, a driver picked us up at the airport and dropped us off at the villa that we were staying in. And my wife likes to engage in conversation with these guys when we go out. And he was like, well, I've seen that stuff coming in, planes coming in and boats coming in, and I mean, all you guys are doing a little better. And he's like, ma'am, let me tell you, when these planes come into Tobago, there's a big Maxio thing bus there to pick them up. They send them straight to the hotel. And the next time us normal people in Tobago see them is when they're going back out to the airport. They already have things planned for them. They already have other things that they already pre-booked to go to other activities or whatever like that. So they don't really spend as much money as we think they should be spending in Tobago. They come, they get picked up at the airport, they go to the destination, they spend time there, have their food and whatever there. They have different things that they may go and partake of, and then they hit back on the bus and they go back to the plane and they fly away. And almost 60% of us don't really see them or interact with them or have some kind of engagement from an economic point of view. So there's also that challenge when it comes to tourism, I guess, in Tobago.
But won't those and the people who supplying the maxis and the services that those people are enjoying are part of the Tobago culture?
I wouldn't say no, they're part of the Tobago culture, but I guess this is not from me. This is from a person in Tobago. And he's saying that there may be a subset that may be able to enjoy and participate in it, but the larger subset of the market are left out, at least from his point of view. You know, that in terms of, I don't think he's saying that, you know, it's not beneficial to Tobago because you're still getting monies coming in, but a large sector of people who may depend on or may look towards that are being left out of the loop.
Well, with the greatest respect, sometimes that may be done to protect tourists. Because they plan their arrival to the island, pick up, taken to specific points as opposed to having them wandering and possibly subject to crime. The other concern I have with tourism is I don't even know what we're selling right now. Once upon a time, we sold Trinidad and Tobago. Then we separated the tourism Trinidad from tourism Tobago. Now we have 2.5 carnivals. I don't know what we're selling. And I live here.
Point of view, if you're confused and you live here, imagine people outside.
I don't know what we're selling. I honestly don't know what we're selling. I know we have nice beaches because I live here in Tobago. I know we have, because of the multiculturalism and the multi-ethnicity, we have a lot to offer. We have food, we have festivals, we have sites, we have nature. But what is our product in Trinidad and Tobago or Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, Richard said it, has consistently said it. Liming. Our culture is liming. We should be focusing on getting people to come here to lime.
I don't know that I will leave Scandinavia because you tell me I come into lime.
No, but you're building on it. You ain't just using that. You're building on it in terms of the soca, in terms of the cuisine and all these things. But you're right. I just think we just don't have a message. I ain't disagreeing with that. We don't have a message. Sadly.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're selling. What is the product that differentiates us from Barbados or Jamaica? You know what you're selling in Barbados. You know what you're getting in Jamaica. You know what you're getting in Grenada. You know what you're getting in the Grenadines, St. Lucia. I don't know what the product is in Trinidad and Tobago. And worse yet, let me just finish, Richard. Worse yet, if a government changes, the product changes too.
Yes.
And that's why, but it all boils down to what is the consistency of brand Trinidad and Tobago. What is brand Trinidad and Tobago? And I think that's what we first have to agree on. What is that? Is that festival tourism? Is it liming tourism that embraces all of that? Festival, leisure, eco-tourism, business tourism, all of those things. Because we have certain sites that we can enhance, whether it be Asia, right? Whether it be that you can make into tourist destinations, whether it be some of the islands of the coast of Trinidad, that you have them become something. There are certain things that we could monetize in particular ways, depending on what the vision is. Yeah. But I don't think we have yet agreed on what that brand Trinidad and Tobago is. Because that brand of Trinidad and Tobago has to intersect with your culture.
Yeah,
and not only with your culture here, but also with your entertainment, which is also connected to your culture. So it means that when Trinidad and Tobago artists, or Trinidad and Tobago plays, or Trinidad and Tobago choirs, or Trinidad and Tobago steel bands, or musicians, because we have other musicians besides steel bands. We have all manner of people who are in rock music and hip hop and all manner of things that may be getting gigs outside of Trinidad and Tobago. Once Trinidad and Tobago is out there, you connect brand Trinidad and Tobago in a consistent pattern to what everybody is doing. Yeah. Because we're a small island state, we can do that.
Yeah. But we had a free promo from this actress. I can't remember her name. Who used the word lime in.
Queen Latifah. But
Queen
again, when the
Latifah.
Richard is right. You cannot just say lime without contextualizing the value added. It's not just about lime, because that word wouldn't translate globally. Yes, she said it once in a talk show, and we feel that's a whole marketing plan. That can't be a marketing plan, Richie.
You could build up.
No, I remember years ago I lived in England in early 2000s. I worked with a company that did events and exhibitions show the UK, and it was a multinational kind of setup with people from South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, a lot of backpackers who travel and work in England at that time. And I happened to, at an event, there was another Trinidadian at the event. So we started to talk, and then eventually, Trinidadians eventually you move into your twang, and they started to talk. And then the guy said he keep hearing this word over and over, lime, lime, lime. And for his man, he can contextualize why are we talking about a fruit. What does that mean? So it goes to your point. It has to be contextualized in terms of what does that mean. What's the experience you're trying to build? And I agree with everything that you've all said. And the question, I guess, is for the politicians and the policymakers is when are we going to do that? Because it had to be done a couple years back, and we've missed the boat, because again we are in a competitive environment, and we are competing against other countries in the Caribbean, but there are other parts of the world that offer the same thing that we have. You have the Maldives, you have Seychelles, you have other parts of Colombia that has sand and sea and festivals and stuff like that. So we are competing in a global market for attention. And unless we can have that specific as to exactly what we are, who we are, then you're going to be failing all the time.
Well, we have so many images that we could build on in terms of that term liming. And the other two parts of the world that I would have seen outdoor liming, because we have outdoor liming. We specialize in outdoor liming. Liming on the pavement. That's what we specialize in my opinion. That's my opinion, right? And the only other place that I would have seen that is in France, in Paris, where they have a lot of street liming and street dining, and probably in Cuba, where they go through those streets, dancing and singing and so on. I've not seen that. You don't get that in the US, because you can't drink on the street anyway in most parts of the US. You don't see that in Europe, parts of in Europe too much. You understand? So we could build on it, but we just sauntering along. And we changing tourism ministers, and let's face it, in the last two governments, we have changed tourism ministers almost like if is a position that we using to reshuffle. The People's Partnership did it, and the current government has done it. So,
well, again, as Richie said, it's consistency. So you one tourism minister in the same government starts something, in 2 years he move out, she move out, it changes. The points of focus are inconsistent. And is it that the old Dutch syndrome is what is afoot here, Rishi? Because we know at the end of the day it goes back to oil and gas. Some say more manufacturing now.
Everything always goes back to oil and gas, because at the end of the day oil and gas will always bail us out. But for how long and for how come kind of good? Because we've seen where oil and gas is not as it used to be in terms of production levels. Over the time, we've seen the government try to increase, external deep water drilling, and that is also a cost that many companies are just not willing to venture into right now. So as much as we like to say oil and gas eventually are going to bail us out, there's going to come a time, and I think that time is coming very soon, where it would not be able to bail us out of the problems that we have in. So we need to begin to, again, it's another bugbear word that I've been hearing all my life since I've been growing up here, diversification. How do we now have other areas to begin to contribute to the economy? We have manufacturing, we have tourism, we have, I know the minister about BPOs, and all those different things about other companies setting up stuff here. But we saw what happened, was it last week with Digicel, where they've closed down their centers here, and now they've migrated everything to Jamaica. So again, we are in a competitive space, and a competitive world where you have to compete with other things, and a lot of countries, I know a lot of sectors here in Trinidad are looking at expanding their markets and expanding their markets elsewhere. But some of them, in expanding their markets elsewhere, also setting up their shop in those countries, because to do business in those countries, you have to set up in those countries. and to begin to benefit from all the other tax concessions, other concessions they have. And in doing so, it may also mean a loss of revenue in terms of taxation and stuff like that. So there are other things we need to look at, other initiatives to begin to not have to heavily depend on oil and gas. But everything always comes back to the fact that oil and gas will always fail us.
You started off the program by reading from an article that points to an increase in our oil prices imminent. So you're just crystallizing the point that is where we always, our fallback is. That's where we always going to go.
And that's fine, Wendell, but in the context of we understand, we're not going to suddenly be not dependent on oil and gas energy commodity products. But the conversation about diversification is to use those revenues to widen our breadbasket. Am I crazy here, Rishi?
No, because again, so when as far as I'm aware right now, we're trying to move away from a control of the gas price at the tanks, correct? So if oil prices go up, then obviously the price of the tank should go up. If oil prices go down, then tanks should go down. That's what the government is trying to balance off the subsidy. So while you're saying oil prices going up and energy prices going up are good, it will eventually have a detrimental impact on us maybe at the tank, because that may increase the subsidy price going up beyond what the government may want to do, and that may cause them to have to increase the prices again. I don't know. It's going to have an impact on us because we still import a lot of the stuff that we use in this country, so that may cause things to be high. So while there's a benefit to oil prices in one sector, there's also other parts of it that it may hurt us on, and that's why I'm not saying that we don't rely on oil and gas. Oil and gas is we are an energy producing nation, but it's how you use that monies, and how do you use that monies to benefit the country in terms of social services and other things that you have to provide, but also providing the means for other sectors or other people to begin to branch off, and that is where you now have to look to rely on other things besides oil and gas, because we also see there's a shift worldwide to natural resources and sustainable energy. Obviously, oil and gas wouldn't stop tomorrow. It's going to continue, but the use of it, the dependency of it may begin to minimize. And as that begins to minimize, then it may have an impact on us long term from an economic point of view, because we now may not have the amount of monies we got from oil and gas over time. So as a policymaker, you need to be thinking 3, 4, 5 years down the road, a decade down the road, because you're not thinking of the benefits for this generation. You also think of the benefits for generations to come, and putting things in place to begin to benefit them. So that's why we need to put the things now, and we can't wait till bad times happen to try to now say, oh my God, we need to diversify. We need to have a specific brand for trying to bake. We need to plan now for what may happen in 5-10 years.
Who have more oil than Saudi Arabia? And they create islands and sport and all kind of thing with their revenue.
Yeah, they moved away from that. Yeah,
you need to diversify.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it all comes back to vision, and it all comes back to what do you see your brand as, and what brand are you building towards. Of course, under the current administrative structure in Saudi Arabia, I suppose they have less contention to deal with. That Trinidad and Tobago context.
Yeah.
Rishi, 2 questions I wanted to ask you. Well, and they're kind of related. The IMF recently talked about Trinidad and Tobago and gave an assessment of Trinidad and Tobago, and they talked about our foreign exchange and our fixed rate and made certain recommendations to the government, which I believe the Minister of Finance has now commented on, and basically said he's not going to follow it, I think. You could correct me if I'm paraphrasing. And 2, when we started this conversation, I talked about the fact that the Minister of Finance also in his social media indicated via the CSO that the exports doubled the imports in Trinidad and Tobago for the period that they were looking at. My question is, why then do we still have a foreign exchange issue? Because one would think that if you're earning more foreign exchange than you are spending, you should have enough foreign exchange in terms of your demand and supply. So could you explain that to me, why that's not correlating within the context of what the IMF said and what the Minister of Finance said?
Well, the whole thing is maybe the maths is not mathsing in terms of maybe there's things that we're not seeing or not being truthfully told, because the fact is to get access to US right now, and not only for the common man, but for the manufacturing sector, it's very very difficult. And I'll give you a clear example. I have a brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law just recently, finally, after many years, got signed off to. He's going into microbrewing, into developing his own beer and stuff like that. And his thing is he wants to have it not only to sell locally, but as an export, to export externally to other markets, maybe in the Caribbean and stuff like that. Because that's a big thing in the world right now, in certain parts of the world, microbrewing, where you have specialized kinds of beers and stuff like that. So he wants to go into that sector and heavily looking at setting up and everything like that. He's finally gotten all the approval, all the bonds and everything like that. So now he needs to get equipment. And he went to the bank to see if he can get now foreign exchange to be able to source the equipment he needs now to bring down to begin to do his distillery and all these different things for the microbrewing. And they tell him, well, they could put him, all he can get for now is 500 US. They could put him on a waiting list to see how much he can get as time goes by.
Can I be sarcastic?
Mm-hmm.
He lying with the wrong people.
Well, apparently lying with the wrong people, because there are people
because there are some companies in this country that do not get trouble to get forex.
Yeah, exactly. So to your point, I mean, we have the data is saying one thing, the minister is saying one thing, but the policies are saying something else. Because if it is that we're supposed to be, if we're exporting more, i.e., earning more than we are spending, then obviously there should be an uptick in foreign exchange and everything else. So, i.e., therefore, that should correlate to there should be a less restriction on access to foreign exchange for certain things, for what people want to do and stuff like that, besides leisure and all those different things like that. But the fact of the matter is, there's still a heavy control, and to Paul's point, there are people out there who get access to because they know who to talk to and what to do and who hands to
into
grease.
a market where there's a behemoth as the incumbent, who not going to really not pull the strings, and I'm being very facetious here, to make sure that the market stays within their rates, because they buy out all the competition already anyway. I think they're going to let, hey, don't give you no money. Anyway, we're going to open the phone lines if you care to, Richie, because our listeners and our viewers on YouTube want to weigh in the conversation. And the numbers are 222-TALK, 222-8255, toll-free 866-525-1099, because I'm reading it. That's how I know it so well today.
All right.
There's for the average man, there's a forex to go to the bank for ordinary vacation. Can I get 600? No, you can get 2.
But that's what you're getting. I checked Friday going 200.
Yeah, no, can I get 600? There are people with US accounts who can't get the money out of the US accounts.
Yeah, I don't even know why.
Yeah, I have to put in my request now because I'm off to Jamaica in the first week in May, so I have to put in my request now for Jamaica.
And why is it that the other islands in the Caribbean?
That's a very good question, because we have Jamaica, we have Barbados, and and they are supposed to be we are supposed to be a little bit better economically than them. But
pounds.
They don't have that problem. They don't have an issue with accessing foreign exchange. It confuses me.
But not the level that we have.
And if you think the issue is only US, it's pounds, it's euros, it's Canadian dollars, it's all in them.
Yeah, you could walk into a bank in St. Kitts and ask for 800 US and get it. One time. We have a call. Good morning.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Zina.
Right, morning. I want to say something on this topic. Paul made a point, and I want to agree with him. It's who you know, because I'm wondering how certain franchises in this country could be opening more and more businesses. In every nook and cranny you go, there are you must see a certain brand name. So where are they getting all that foreign exchange for them alone to be opening all these franchises? That is one. 2, I want to talk about the what is happening in this country, as the gentleman there referred to, where yes, making the oil dollars. Where is it going? No, the average man in the street may not feel it because they aren't making use of the available resources that we have and classes that are put in place for the average youths that fall out from school to go to. And I want to feel we not forceful enough with the youth. We have too many youths that fall out from school and are idling around the place, and that is why we have the rise in crime. And I keep saying again, until we open back the youth camps, they keep talking about it, but it's not coming forceful enough and quick enough. And all the youths who are idling, if you're not working, you're not employed, and you're not going to school, you go to a youth camp to learn a trade. Because there's work out there. You're looking for a carpenter, a good carpenter, you can't find one. You're looking for a good tile man, you can't find one. A roof man, there are jobs out there. The government can't employ everybody. So they have
Are you saying it should be mandatory that they must?
Yes, because they just feel they could idle and sit under
You live in the wrong country.
street corner.
Our constitution does not allow for that.
Well, it has to change, is what I'm saying. They need to be more forceful, because you can't have youths dropping out from school. Schooling is free. And then you want to bundle up by a street corner, smoke weed.
You know, I brought this point up 5, 6, 7 years ago in Parliament, that there's a huge 2,500 or so dropout from primary to secondary school, and the former education minister didn't take me on, this education minister didn't take me on, and it's not necessarily that everyone wants to drop out of school, eh?
Yeah,
very
some people
often
are being forced out.
Because of economic circumstances. Or their families don't have the means to send them to school.
Because of economic circumstances.
Yeah.
Some people can't have.
Oh my God, I don't want to go to school. And in some cases, the school curriculum is not catering to their issues. So it's not just about people don't want to be in school.
All right, we do have another call. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, morning. So, yes, Rishi, you're an economist, right? I guess so.
Not economist, I trade, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, because I really wanted to go to that one on Friday at Professor Roger Hussain had to ask this question. You know, you're talking about the tourism, and my question is that has the economic research been done to gather the data? Because I could go anywhere in the world. Township tours, there are restaurants. I could go into a township which was once a ghetto and a rental thing, and it has been moved. You know, it has evolved. And you could go and sit down and have a meal. There are township tours. Like you go in Brazil, there are favela tours. You could go inside a favela, sit down and have a cafe, have a coffee, have a meal. I could go, generally in most parts I've traveled, you could go into Cape Town. I went to the furthest town out, and there's a gallery, a museum, small village. There's a place you could go and sit down and have a meal. And I don't think we could do that in most spaces in that particular sense. And what is if we say we want to develop, and I'm not saying we have to develop for tourism, but we have to develop for people, and what is that cost? If we say we want that I could go into most spaces and have a sit down, a community center. I know we have community centers, and that community center, there's a visitor center, there's a little gallery, there's a theater, there's a community. So there's activity that draws people to your community. And what is that kind of development economic module look like? I've never heard economists quantifying that cost factor to the politicians to say, you know, it will cost $1 billion to do that kind of development, and the money will go towards, because you just mentioned education, it will have to go, you close down a hotel school. I don't understand how a hotel school could be closed down.
Politics.
Well, that happened during COVID, didn't it, Dean?
No, it wasn't about COVID at all.
It was coming before that.
It was coming before that. That's a whole different story.
So where all your bakers, where all your cooks, where all your chefs, where all your tourism people, what is the backlash on that economic factor in the training? So if they ask all bakers where they get their training, They say some of them, they serve they go to the serve for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. But, so I don't know. I wanted to put that forward to the economic people at UE in that type of research module in social community development, commented when we're talking about tourism, because tourism, I know, I speak to my friends in Grand Riviere, they pick up payroll, well, you just sell it to Hadco. They will pick up people from the airport and bring them to Grand Riviere. Those people don't even leave. Asia Right as well. The people go straight from airport to Asia Right. They stay in the community. They hang out in the community. They go up into the bush. They swim. They hang out with the fishermen. They're all sorts, and people stay in those communities, and they just drop them straight back to the airport. And so we have a kind of community. I know up Brasso Seco, people go up inside there. They sit onto the land. They come up in a maxi. The guy provides a meal. They cook and they go up in the bush. They hike up into the bush. They sit down around a river and they cook. And he provides those type of services. And there are myriad of other types of services. I know that going on. Like around at the University of the West Indies here, the bed and breakfast economy just around visitors, lecturers, students, and it's amazing. And even so I just the research. If the research is there, why they're not doing the research to put forward to us on what this will look like and how much money it will take?
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning, caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Good morning,
How are you
Cindy.
doing?
Good.
Morning, Cindy.
You are still talking about first world country currency. You're getting problems with East India Bank. Right now, to get St. Vincent goods to buy in the market, the government pay only $20,000 for a agent. You know what pressure it is to get St. Vincent goods to get EC to pay for your goods? Real problem. Down to EC and all those problems. I went on a little trip. I went in the bank to get the US. Problem to tell me I have an account to get 200 US. And they ain't giving you real sorry for the ordinary man now who want to buy something. Somebody come in and they say, well, all right, I'll go buy something and I'm going to pay me back in US. You ain't getting nothing, no? You ain't getting nothing. I don't know what's going on in this country, but something in more than the pistol in that water. Something going on with them US and them. Something is correct. They're telling me the wrong story in this country here. Something wrong, but I'm waiting for later. Because I want to talk about that road they're pitching in Valencia, where they take how much whole week to finish less than 300 feet. I know they can finish it today. Real madness going on here. I will come back in.
All right, Cindy.
I heard that road is paved, but it's poor.
Well, it's being paved to in patches.
Yeah, it is poor quality. It's paved, they welcome it, but it's substandard work. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, morning. Go ahead, Mr. Patrick.
The economist, I want to ask him about that question. I was listening to the news last night or yesterday about the prison association. Talking about the back pay, 4% wage bill. Really don't want no 4% increment. How the government could adjust that situation if we're looking for about 10% across the board? How the government could adjust that situation, Mr. Economist?
Well, maybe the government is looking to, the government has the budget, so in budgeting now they have the budget in terms of how much we can offer and then how much money is it going to cost us to be able to offer that. So if it is that the unions then want more than the 4% and then the government offering 10% or whatever like that, then that's a cost. And that's a cost that the government has to now balance off with all the other demands on it to see how best we can now meet those needs. And to meet those needs, if you want to go with 10%, may mean that they may have to cut certain programs or certain things to free up the money to pay the excess back pay and what excess remuneration plus the existing new salaries, or they may have to go to borrowing and borrow money to meet that need. So again, in dealing these things with wage negotiations, there's always a balance that you have to balance in terms of how much where can we get the money and where can we get the money without having to sacrifice other things that are important to move forward. So again, it's not something I can say, yes, it should be 10% or 6% or 4%. It's a balancing act that the government has to look at with the figures and the money is coming in and everything else.
Rishi, thank you for being with us this morning. I appreciate
No
your time and your
problem.
contribution.
Sure.
Yes, thank you so much, Rishi Maharaj, for being with us on the Power Breakfast Show. Thank you so much. All the best. Have a safe Easter.
Your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Economic growth backed by statistics from 2020